Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new video. And in today's video we're gonna look at my closing of the 2024 project ban for eyeshadow palettes. I will share with you how many I've been able to completely use up, what pans I've been able to hit, which shades I've been able to hit pan on, how it went for me, what were the struggles, because there were a couple struggles, and I will show you how my project ban collection looks like after the whole year. So hopefully you enjoyed that. In case this is your first time here, hi, my name is Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, I love eyeshadows, I love project pan and pannings. It's just so fun. I love being able to use up shades, so hopefully you like it too. This was my last look using this palette and other palettes as well. From the Earth palette, I've used the last two shades, which is Past and Nostalgia, these two matte shades. I also have from the Merry Christmas palette by Oden's Eye. I've used for the last time the shade New Year because I just wanted to use it up. And then I also have the Diabrune Cosmetics Witch of the Wildflower, and I've used the shade Ironweed to blend out the shades. I have done Delian Tea in the inner corner, and then the shade Floriography, the golden part of the palette, because it's a split pan, on the beginning part of the lid, and then also on the lower lash line. Oh, and I've also used a bit of the shade from the Merry Christmas palette, from the shade Jingle Bell, on the lid as well. So that's kind of all that I'm wearing today, and I created this look. It's not the best look. I mean, maybe it looks nice on the camera, but it's not the best look. I've had some difficulties, which I will tell you in a bit about, but hopefully you will enjoy this video. I'm trying not to make this too long, so let's get into the overhead shot. So I'm back with all the project bans for this year, and kind of like a recap of how it went for me. I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be because I've been reviewing a lot, and I kind of, life happened and I wasn't as zoned in on them as I wanted to be. But we still have some progress, so I want to share with you what happened, what changed, how it's gonna be for next year. I will film my project plan for next year in a couple of days. I have to kind of get some things in order, but after that I will definitely film my my project plan for next year, so stay tuned for that. There's a poll on my channel in case you want to vote what I should focus on next year. There are quite a lot of votes, but I would still really like to hear from you, so definitely let me know down below, and I'll try to link the poll as well. And right now we're gonna look at all of these palettes, and I'm gonna tell you how it went for me and how they look like right now. So first I have this Little Cosmetics quad. This is just from there. They always do like these charity palettes that are for different causes. This one is for, I think, from for animals in shelters, if I remember that correctly. And I have 4 single shades here. I have the shade Idol, Sigil, Parsec, and Allure. I wasn't able to hit pan in any of these, which is really a shame. This one is super close, this one is pretty close, but I wasn't able to pan them. And I don't know if I'm gonna put them in next year's project. I think they're really beautiful, but I'll probably just use them on my own. I'm gonna try to put them in some monthly shop my stash, maybe like 2 or 3 times in next year. I want to put them in the shop my stash to focus on them, but I don't think they're gonna be part of a project ban. But I'm gonna make up my mind in like a week's time, and before New Year, I'm gonna make the decision. Then I have this Colorpop Tinkerbell palette, the Sprinkle a Little Magic. Because I've had so many green palettes in my project pan, and that's something that I haven't thought about when I created this collection is that I had so many green shadows and I don't want to wear green every day. I know I wear green a lot, but I don't want to wear green every day. And it's been really hard not to and be able to hit pan on everything. So I'm gonna take this one out of the project pan for next year because, yeah, it's been really hard. But we have 3 pans. 2 were made by like regular use. This one was made also because I used this sheet to create one of my nail polishes, so that's why there's a pan. Ideally, I would like to hit pan in all six of these shades because these are the original 6 shades from this palette. These 3 are shades from other palettes or their singles, but these 6 at the bottom, I would really love to hit pan on them. And like I will try, but again, I think I'm just gonna put her in either a monthly Shop My Stash or in some kind of seasonal collection. This one is very nice spring palette, so maybe for spring. I don't know yet, but I just, you know, I want to get some uses of these shades. I just don't really want to stress myself too much. But this one, let me actually give you the rundown. I've been able to use this palette 37 times so far, which I think is a really good number. I don't remember what the number was at the end of last year. I will pop it on the screen how many uses were there at the end of the last year or like beginning of this year, because I think I've written all these numbers down on the 1st of January this year, so I will write it down below and like on the screen so that you can count it. But right now there's 37 uses. I think it's a good number. Then we have this Shall We Makeup Liana palette. I thought this one is gonna be easy to pan because it's small, but again, it's green palette. And that was the main problem, it's just I can't focus on a million green palettes. I didn't realize that, but like all of them, all of them are green, which doesn't really help a lot. But we've panned and like used up the shade In Flames, which is the red, gold, green multichrome. That one took 13 uses to use because the pans here are very shallow. There's not much product. This one is very jelly. And after I've had a huge pan, like probably like half of this, I decided to use the rest as a nail polish because it was really greasy on me. So that made no sense for me to use it. The shade Trap Queen, I'm pretty sure in the next like 3-4 uses there's gonna be a pan because there's a huge dip and this is very, very shallow pan, like extremely shallow. So I want to put this in next year's project pan. I think this is gonna be my only green palette for next year for the project pan, just to make it easier for myself. But I do, and lately I've been more into these like cool tone greens and the silvers. I wasn't that into it this year, but in the past couple weeks I've kind of started to really enjoy those. So not too much happening in this one. I've used this one 28 times. I don't know again what was the number, but I will write it down below and on the screen here. But right now we're at 28, and yeah, I think we're gonna need like 50 or 60 uses to be able to use this one up completely. So if I'm gonna really focus on this and create like another 30 uses with this palette, I think I'm gonna be able to use this one up. Then we have the Earth palette. This one is officially out of my project pan because I'm gonna call this one quits. I'm gonna assume that this one is finished. Even though there is itty bitty bit product left, but I've worn this one today. I haven't filmed the intro yet, but you've already seen that. And I haven't had the greatest time with this one. I've used the shade Nostalgia in the past because these are the only 2 that were that are still inside. And I don't know what's with Oden's eye and their eyeshadows once you are scraping the pans, but they become pretty kind of waxy and hard to blend and hard to layer on the eyes, and just really weird and uncomfortable and just really disgusting. I've had the same with the mini forest. I've had from the Alva 2 collection, I've had one of the mini palettes that I also filmed a video about. By the way, there will be a review of this and how the project pan went. For me, it's gonna be a separate video, and it's probably gonna come out tomorrow. At least that's the plan. Maybe in 2 days, but probably tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, where I'm gonna share with you all the stats, all the info. But yeah, this one, as you can see, like there's a little bit of the shade Nostalgia, a little bit of the shade Past, but I don't want to use this one anymore because honestly, maybe in the intro the look looked okay, but it's not. It's really weird. It's really waxy. It was so hard to blend, and I just hadn't had a good time. And also, like, it's really hard to get your brush there because there's the ridges here, and then it's really hard to get your brush there. And it's just, I'm gonna call this quits. I've used this one 60 times. This was the last time that I've used it today, and we've hit the number 60. And it's a small palette, and this one, unlike the other mini palettes that they've had before, this one is a full look. So I would always use all of the shades, and then sometimes I would add like one shade or two, but I could use all the shades here, or majority of the shades here. So that's why it's a lot easier to use it up in a lower amount of uses, because I'm using most of the shades in one use of a palette. Whereas if you have a small palette that has a lot of shades that don't really work together, you're gonna need twice or three times as much uses to achieve the same goal, because you're not gonna be able to use all of them at the same time. I hope that makes sense. It feels really obvious, but some people might not realize that if they've never used up a palette. So I'm just kind of mentioning that if it sounds really stupid of me to mention that, then just ignore that. But yeah, this one is done. And I'm glad I was able to use up at least one completely, because yeah, it's been really hard lately. I need to slow down on the purchases for next year to be able to focus on my collection more. But that's the Earth palette. Then we have the Colorpop Legend of Korra. If I remember that correctly, I think my goal wasn't to like hit ban on everything or stuff like that. I just wanted to use up the shade Rebel Spirit that was here, which I did. This one is another shade. This one is from the Pokemon pad, and I think it's called Pewter City or something like that. So the original shade that was here, which was one of those like jelly squishy ones, is no longer there because I've used it up. And the shade Future Industries I've also used up. I kind of used it as a nail polish more than on my eyes. And this one is also a shade from the Pokemon palette. I don't remember how it's called. I could take this shade out and look at it because I've written it down on the how is it called? The back of the pen, but I don't really want to take it out. I can't find my my magnetic tool. But the shade Future Industries, I've used it 8 times, and then I've used the rest as a nail polish because it was just not really fun to use, and it creased a lot, and I didn't like it. It was kind of like a gunmetal dark gray going into black with silver specks in it, but it just didn't look nice. I have a couple shades like this in my other palettes and from other brands, and those I do like, even though I don't wear them that often, but I do like them from other brands. This one wasn't nice. The shade Rebel Spirit, I've used that one 27 times before it ran out. I mostly used it as a highlighter or in my inner corner because it was one of those jelly shades, so for me it creased on the eyes. I could only use it in the inner corner, on the lower lash line, or as a highlighter, which is what I did. I mostly used it as a highlighter, and it took 27 uses to use it up completely, and it happened when I was using this palette for the 40th times. Now we have 50 uses of this palette. It changed up a lot because a lot of these shimmers are actually depotted shades from my Alter Ego palette, and as well these two. This one is from Alter Ego, this one is from the Pokemon palette, and this one is also from the Pokemon palette. So the only original shades from this palette are the Waterbending, Air, Change, Earthbending, Mover Star, Probender, Airbending, and Firebending. Those are the original shades. The rest is either from the Pokemon palette, or the potted shades from my Alter Ego palette by Glam Shop. So yeah, I've been able to, technically this one is also a success because I've been able to do what I said I'm gonna do. So yeah, this one and the Earth were successful. Then there's a palette that I no longer have. It was the Giant Wolves palette by Oden's Eye in collaboration with Annette's Makeup Corner, Annette Oberstadt. I've decided to put that one aside. Well, I actually threw it away because there was mold in that palette. And yeah, I know there are a couple ways how you can technically revive that, but I'm not comfortable using anything that had a mold in it because I know it's powder and probably the mold doesn't get all the way throughout, but I wouldn't know how to determine if the shade is okay or not if I've tried to revive that. So I just threw that one away. It wasn't worth it for me. I loved that color story, but it's just I'm not gonna use, even if there was just one shade with a mold, I'm not comfortable using the rest, so it went out of the window. I haven't actually threw it out of the window, but you know, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. And then there were the two Christmas palettes by Oden's Eye. I will get rid of these palettes, like the packaging. I will get rid of the packaging and I will repress whatever is left in these palettes. I will repress into either single magnetic pans or into some of the empty slots. So one empty slot is in the Shelby makeup palette. I have this palette that is completely empty. I will just have to clean it up and then I can use it as a storage because it has smaller pans. It's easier to carry and I don't want to carry these big bulky, well they're not that bulky but they're big palettes. And I also have one depotted palette from Glam Shop, which is this Violette palette. I was able to take out all the shades from this and put them in a magnetic pans, and I've kept the pans in this one, so from what I've counted, I think it will go perfectly inside. So yeah, probably the Christmas Eve, whatever is left will go into this palette, and it's just easier to carry this one small 9 pen than 2 big palettes. And also I wouldn't be able to repress these 2 pads into one of them if I wanted that, because these pens are this kind of weird shape, and it's kind of incredibly hard for me to use it and repress that. But this is the Merry Christmas palette. We're currently at 114 uses, which I think is incredible. At the beginning of the year, this one had 63 and now we're at 114. So I've almost used it twice as much, or like, you know, the number of uses almost doubled, which is incredible. Because on the 1st of January, I've had this palette for a year and I think 2 months or 3 months. So to be able to get twice as much uses in a year is really, really good. That's what I'm trying to say. And this is how she looks like. So this shade and poinsettia were used as a nail polish. I've only used them on my eyes like less than 10 times, or maybe 10 times, because it just was. Santa Star I've used 9 times. Poinsettia I've tried 16 times. I really tried, but it was a horrible, disgusting shade. It was supposed to be red, but it kind of looked more magenta when you blended it out. It was just really weird, and so I decided to use it as a nail polish. It is beautiful nail polish. I love that nail polish. So this one was repurposed, and it's way better the way it is right now. Bless I've used 14 times, and then whatever was left, which wasn't that much because I've actually used this one quite a bit. Like I would use it all over the lid, so it's pretty easy to use it up. I also turned into nail polish, so only 14 times. Happy Ending 41 times. Hot Cocoa 31 times. This palette, the Christmas Eve, and then the Earth palette, I had an accident yesterday and all of them fell on the ground because I've had them kind of like at the edge of this table, and I was really clumsy and they all fell. So this one, because I've used this one a lot as a eyeliner, so I would just spray it with a setting spray and then mix it up and use it as an eyeliner. There were so many cracks in this one and it was kind of very cracked up. So when it fell on the ground, it all shattered. I think you can see that there are like particles of the brown all over the palette. So yeah, that one only 31 times. Snowman is done at 36 uses. New Year, I've used that today for the last time. There's 25 uses and it's done because, as you can see, like there's just like a couple little particles, but I'm not gonna be able to make a look out of that. So this one is gone as well. And as I said, 115 uses. I forgot to upload. I forgot to update today's uses. So let me actually put that in there. So for this one, 115 uses. When it comes to hitting a pan, first it happened on the shade Elf Wish. It was the 14th time of using this palette, and it happened after 31 uses of this whole palette. Then the next was Best Wish. It happened when I've used this shade for the 19th time, and it was when the palette had 41 uses. Then New Year, this one, there was 12 uses in there, and the whole palette had 60 uses. Then we have Snowman, this one. There was 15 uses, and this whole palette had 61 uses. Then the shade Matcha Cookie, this one, it happened after 19 uses, and there was 62 uses in the entire palette. Little Star, 16 uses, and it had 71 uses in the entire palette. And I'm gonna say that this one is also empty. I'm gonna keep this shade inside of the palette and use it like 2 or 3 more times as a highlighter, because I have been using it more as a face highlighter, to just use it up completely. But I'm gonna say that this palette is finished for me for this year. But just know that this shade will stay inside, and I'm gonna use it 2 or 3 more times to use it up completely. Then we have the shade Alright, and I've hit pan after 10 uses. There was 73 uses in total in this palette. Then we have the shade Happy Ending, which was the which was the black one. There's brown here now because I've been mixing the shade Hot Cocoa here, but it was the black matte shade. And this one had a pan after 10 uses because I've used it as a eyeliner, so it kind of it went really far. It went really fast, and it happened after 73 uses. Sorry, I've hit pan after 38 uses. I've used it a lot as an eyeliner, and it happened when I was using this palette for the 77th time. Then on the 78th use of this palette, I was able to hit pan on 2 shades. First was the shade Jingle Bell. It happened at 23 uses. And then the shade Christmas Tree. It happened at 20 uses. And also at the same time, I've hit pan on the shade Bless, which happened at its 11th use. So 3 shades at the same time. I was very happy about that. I did like a green top light with these 3, these 2, and then this one was on the lower lash line, and it looked really, really pretty. Then, Santa Star, 8 uses. It happened when I was using this palette for the 79th time, and it was for the nail polish. No, it was actually before that. So 8 uses when I used it last time, and then I made the nail polish. Then on the 86th use of this palette, I've hit pan in the shade Poinsettia, and there were 14 uses in this palette, and it happened because I think it fell on the ground as well. I don't know why I'm so clumsy, but yeah, this shade was kind of very dusty, so that's why it took so little. Then, before I've been able to hit other pans, there were a couple finished up pans, so completely used up, and it was the shade Elfish. It took 41 uses, and this whole palette was used 92 times by then. In the same day, I've also completely used up the shade Bless with 14 uses, the shade Poinsettia with 16 uses, and then the shade Santa Star, where is it? Here, Santa Star with 9 uses, and Happy Ending with 41 uses, and that was because I was creating my nail polishes. So what the shades that I didn't really like, or the shades that didn't really work anymore, I've just created nail polishes out of them. Then 96 times of using this palette, and I've hit pan on the shade Hot Cocoa, and it happened after 30 uses. Then the shade Snowman was completely used up after 36 uses, and it happened after using this palette 105 times. And then when I was using this palette 107 times, I've hit this tiny pan in the shade Gingerbread, and that happened after 34 uses of this palette. So when it comes to hitting a pan, the approximate amount of uses that it takes to hit a pan on this palette is 18.86 times of use, so approximately 19 uses before you hit pan. The shade Best Wish was actually pan after 19 uses, as well as the shade Matcha Cookie. So these are perfect examples. Some of them took longer, some of them took less. The ones that took less time are the shimmers, because you use them more and you pile them more. These ones are because I used them quite a bit all over the lid. And then the darker shades, you use them a little bit more, so it takes more uses. But the approximate number is 19. And there's only one shade left that I haven't panned yet, though I assume it's pretty close. This one I've used 11 times, so yeah, probably in the next like 10 uses I would have a pan in this as well. This isn't my most used shade in this palette. Usually when I use green, I use the warm tone greens, so I haven't used this one too much. But that's for this palette. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shades completely used up, so that's half of the palette, and only one shade that doesn't have a pan at all. And then there's 4 shades that are super low on the product. So yeah, and this one I'm gonna use up in the next 3 uses or so. So that's the Merry Christmas, and I will take out all of the shades from this and put them somewhere else. So that will be another video. It will either come out tomorrow or in the next 2 days. I think I'm gonna first review. I think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna first release the Earth review, and then the depotting video. So it's probably gonna come up in 2 days, but I'm gonna film it both today. So that's just to let you know. And then the Christmas Eve. I've used this 102 times. This is how it looks like. As you can see, 5 shades are completely used up. This one happened yesterday. I was very happy about that. So, when it comes to the way it went for me, so first pan happened after 17 uses in the shade Gorgeous, and that was when I was using this pad for 38 times. Then there was the shade Snowlight. After 20 uses, there was 51 uses in the pan in the palette in total. Then the shade Snowflake, which I repressed a couple days ago. Well, maybe like 3 weeks ago actually. Snowflake had a pan after 17 uses, as well as the shade Gorgeous, and it happened when I was using this palette for the 52nd time. Then the next one was Limop Tart, and that took me 26 uses. There were 53 uses in this palette in total. Then the shade Filting Time, 13 uses, and there was 57 uses in total. Then the shade Nightfall, it took me 20 uses and 63 uses, and it happened when I was using this palette for the 63rd time. Then the shade Night Sky, it took me 25 uses and there were 64 uses in the palette in total. Then we have the shade Christmas Eve, took me 22 uses and there was 67 uses in the entire palette. And the shade Blue Star, again I've repressed this one and there's very little product left. The Blue Star, it took 20 uses and there was 70 uses of the palette in total. Then we have the shade Nowhere. It took me 19 uses and there was 74 uses in total. This one is kind of like my main crease shade, so that's why it was exactly 19. Then the shade Blue Eyes, it took me 21 uses and it happened when I was using this palette for the 79th time. Then the shade Ice Crystal, this one. Sorry, so Blue Eyes. Then before I'm gonna talk about the last 2 pans, there was some shades that I've used up completely. It happened when I was using this pad for the 81st time, and it happened because of the nail polish making. So it was the shade Limop Tart, which I was able to use 40 times in total, and then there was just like a little bit left, I've used that in the nail polish. Then also the shade Gorgeous after 28 uses, because again there was just very little and it didn't look great anymore. It was kind of crumbly and it creased on me a lot. And then also the shade Christmas Eve, first of all because it's kind of similar to the shade Night Sky. It was just a bit more blue and there was already a pan and I wanted to have a deep blue matte or like cream polish. So this one, after 28 uses. Then I've hit pan on the shade Nightfall. Then I've hit pan on the shade Wonderful. It took me 29 uses and it happened when I was using this palette for the 92nd time. On the 93rd time of using this palette, I've panned the shade Ice Crystal. It took me 29 uses and I've completely used up the shade Nightfall after 33 uses. I've used this palette 100 times by then, and it was because this one became really crumbly once I was getting to the to the borders. And also I've used some of the shade for the nail polish making before, but there was still product left. This palette on the 1st of January had 53 uses, and now it's 102, so it almost doubled, which I'm very happy about. There are three shades that don't have any pan. This one was repressed, this one was repressed, and this one was repressed as well, but these three don't have a pan in them, because I wasn't able to hit pan on them yet. If you're wondering how many uses are in these shades, in the ones that are still in the palette, so Snowflake has 24 uses, Ice Crystal 30, Silvery Green 7, I don't use this one a lot. Then Just Now has 12 uses, so again, in the next 10 uses I would probably hit pan. Snowlight has 33 uses, Filtering Time has 17 uses, Nowhere has 25 uses, Wonderful has 37 uses, Softly 27, Night Sky 38, and Blue Star 29. So that's the final statistics of this palette. And now I'm just gonna again take out all the shades and create and use them as a either single shade or reband them into some of these older palettes that are smaller and easier to carry. Since like it already, like these small palettes already take up some space in my collection, I want them to be full before I'm gonna be able to fully use them up. So that's kind of where we are with these. Let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know if these statistics were helpful for you. And how was your project plan, in case you've already finished it, because I've seen a lot of people already finishing their project plans for this year. So let me know how it went for you, if you've had some kind of accomplishments. It doesn't have to be completely used up palette, but even just pens in some of your palettes, that would be really cool to hear. I kind of want to know how other people have been with this, because it's just really, I don't know, it always makes me feel really happy for other people. I do enjoy hearing that a lot. So let me know how your project plan went. And in case you haven't done project plan before, let me know if you would like to start it for the next year, and what would be your palettes theoretically that you would like to ban. So with that being said, I hope you had a wonderful day. Hope you're enjoying Christmas. Merry Christmas, by the way. And I'll be super happy to see you tomorrow. So bye.